is Kaori Nagao, your Las Vegas lifestyle specialist. I'm with Char Luxury Real Estate, and today I'm very excited to introduce my client, my first-time home buyer, Candi Traynham.
Hello.
We just closed on her house today. Congratulations, Candi.
Thank you, Kaori. I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Absolutely. And so today I just wanted to kind of get your feedback, Candi.
Okay.
Share with us our story.
Yes, 100%. So basically my story is like I'll be a first-time homeowner for my generation. I was looking for something that was affordable, something that eventually would build equity, but obviously that I would be able to stay within my budget as well, as being a single mom. However, I was able to run across Loan Depot, and then I was able to be introduced with yourself, which I've had the pleasure of working with. With that, you know, we were able to address challenges such as like the home market being so active, right? Like how to be able to actually like be able to maneuver around that. And then once we actually were able to find the home, we were very, aggressive with putting in the offer, what have you. And then from there, luckily, we had pretty much a smooth closing. And I think overall my experience has been truly phenomenal. I mean, from the lender to yourself, even with the seller, like herself, she was very easy to work with and to make negotiating deals with. So overall, it's truly a blessing to be able to say, hey, I've accomplished something that, to be honest, I didn't think I would ever be able to accomplish. But I think what made it so effortless is that I had, Loan Depot as well as yourself along with me through the way. And that to me is something that I would never take for granted. And I'm definitely appreciative for. This will definitely be a chapter in my life that I will never forget. My daughter will never forget. And I'm just thrilled to be able to go on this opportunity, have this opportunity to be able to move forward. That's all.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So share with us, how did you come across Sean and Loan Depot?
Oh, well, that's a great question. So actually, I was clueless on what to do. I did what most people do. I went to Google. I did Lending Tree. And then from Lending Tree, they gave me about 3 lenders to possibly be able to query and ask questions whatsoever. And Loan Depot, they were actually able to reach out to me.
Yes.
And when they reached out to me, it was great because they were very thorough, encouraging. Of course, I had fears of, is my credit good enough? Is my income good enough? And they were just able to make it effortless. We were able to do everything essentially electronically, which was great, being that we're in the midst of COVID. So all my submissions were electronic. Anything I needed from Alex, Sean, and his team, like they have this cute dashboard set up.
Yes.
Where like essentially like you can just type in a message like, hey, I have a question. And then like 5 minutes later, my phone's ringing. They're like, hey, what do you need? How can we help you? And I think that was extremely beneficial. So that's how I went about finding out about Loan Depot.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then we started looking, and we actually looked maybe for 3 weeks.
Yes.
Active market. So
Yes.
wherever we went, and I had, appointments lined up for the Saturday when you were available.
Yes.
Even during our appointments, the listing agent would call me or text me and say, sorry, we were under contract. So I wasn't able to show you some of the listings.
100%. And I think that what was helpful is that, Sean was able to give us strategies that we could utilize. Like, so, just the whole, I believe it was like 14 days for due diligence.
Yes.
To be able to put an offer down if I really felt like what I found was home without physically visiting it, which is a way that we were able to overcome that obstacle. Outside of that, I followed his instructions. I was extremely aggressive about it. I think the best thing that I could have done was set up alerts within my search area that I was interested in, as well as my budget. And then that allowed me to be able to essentially narrow down my search and be alerted as soon as something was posted on the market.
Right.
So with this place,
Yes.
they posted it on the market.
Yep.
The same day, like 2 hours later, if that, I call Kiara. I'm like, Kiara, can we put an offer down? Like, we just need to just be aggressive about it.
Yes.
And that's how we essentially was able to secure this place and at least enter offer prior to being beat by other offers by the weekend. So that was my availability.
Yes. So one of the strategies that I use, you know, again, being the first.
Yes.
And obviously for me, super over communicate with the listing agent. And to let them know what we're doing, you know, first of all, obviously, can we show the house? But even before that, we're gonna make an offer. This is what we're thinking. Having that communication so that we're first in line.
Exactly. And then showing them that like we're serious, like that we've already done like what? Also like the pre-approval.
Yes.
And that we've already like been pre-approved for this amount or what have you.
Yes.
And them also knowing that, hey, we've also essentially, you know, done our homework prior to even addressing the seller, you know, so that they know that we are a serious inquiry.
Yes.
So yeah, 100%.
So getting a pre-approval, folks, is definitely key because that's something that I submit with the offer together to let them know that we're serious. And then Candi, let's talk about just some, you know, we had some, you know, not challenges, but just some interesting speed bumps along the way.
I mean, I think that was interesting in terms of speed bumps. For me, I think for one, it's always going to be your preferences, right? Like every buyer is looking for something different within their new home. I'm no exception. Outside of that, you know, we would find places and it would be like, oh, we have 3 offers already, or the sellers already had, you know, also something that we actually came forth with was finding something that I really liked. And then they were like, oh, we have a cash offer already. How intimidating is that for someone like myself that's a working class that doesn't have essentially maybe 200 grand just laying around? And I think that that can be discouraging as well. I think that essentially when I came among those speed bumps, the biggest thing for me is to communicate with you and then communicate with my lender and be honest with them about, hey, I'm feeling slightly discouraged. And someone may say like, oh, well, you only did it for 3 weeks. But when you're doing it for 3 weeks and essentially everything you lay your eyes on that you like is being taken before you even step into the home, that's discouraging. And you're doing this on, you know, your time as well as the realtor time, and you want that time to be used effectively. So I think overall, being honest, being upfront, like, you know, not being afraid to say, hey, these are the things I'm running into, like, and going to your specialist, like your real estate agent, your lender, like people that have been doing it for a really long time and just saying, hey, what did you do? Because essentially that's what saved me, I guess, to be able to secure this place, essentially.
Yeah, and let's talk about, you know, something we, you know, it was like a curveball that came to us, right, Candi? So basically, you know, we were in escrow. We just went through the request for repairs and we got all of our repairs done. And then we get a phone call, email saying that there's an assessment on this property. And basically it was an assessment of about $4,000 and basically it was, you know, some, you know, communal area that needed some updates, but this was not disclosed in the SRPD that we got from the seller. So obviously I negotiated on behalf of yourself and made sure that the seller covered 100% of that, so we were able to save $4,000.
Oh yes.
So
that was a huge, you know what, Kiara, it was such a huge curveball, and I'm thinking about initials, but you're right, like, cause that was like a stopping point. It was like, okay, if, you know, the seller's not willing to compromise with this or at least meet us halfway, like what's gonna happen? And, you know, we were probably maybe 3 weeks out from, you know, essentially closing. And then also we had the HOA that wasn't, you know, necessarily up to par with how it was advertised. And I'm sure those things happen. You know, we overlook things as human beings. However, when it's like your first home that you're gonna purchase, it was a big to do for us. So being that those things weren't disclosed, and again, you know, these are learning curves that me as a buyer have, and then as well as a seller, right? And so we were able to say like, okay, well, let's negotiate on this. Kiara did amazing. Like I legit was trying to be so nice, and Kiara was like, this is kind of like in so many ways, to put it frank, like this should have been disclosed. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. We're like 3 weeks away. But with that being said, I think that's why it's great also to have a great real estate agent that knows the ins and outs of the business, knows the ins and outs of Las Vegas in particular, that's where we are, and not afraid to negotiate on your behalf. Like, because when even I was like halfway, she was like, no, we're going for the touchdown. Like, and I think that essentially, like, that's what you want when you have a real estate agent. Like, this is my first rodeo, but she's probably been on like, I don't know, a gazillion. So I think it's important that your real estate agent is as thorough as well in detail as, for instance, Kaori was, because it was something that was so minute that ended up being like this mountain. And it went from like just a HOA price to, oh, we didn't know that this was part of this either. So yes, 100%.
Yes.
I don't know how that skipped my mind, but 100%.
Yes. Yeah, and then appraisal came in, 3,000 short. So again,
a great negotiator. A great negotiator is what I have in my real estate agent, because she's able to say, hey, look, I know we had this big mountain that we just addressed.
Right.
And then it's like, what? A week later, the assessment's done. And we're like, oh, we have to then go back and negotiate some more.
Right.
So essentially, I just feel as though that, like, for one, you did an amazing job with backing me up on it, and then making sure that I understood, like, okay, this is an appraisal, okay, this is an assessment, this is an inspection, what's the difference? Like, oh, how do they even come up with the appraisal number? Like, and being able to be provided with those documents allowed me to essentially understand at least that aspect of the appraisal process too.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
Yes.
So we had a total of 7,000 savings towards closing. And so how was the process of signing the documents yesterday? Did it go smooth?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I initially thought going in that I was going to be like confined for like an hour with someone that was like, reading every single line to me. And that's what I was dreading. And I was hoping I did not, have that. And then also to add to that, like with Loan Depot, like they actually send you a copy of what you're going to be signing in advance. And because of that, I was able to review a lot of those documents prior to even sitting down with the notary, which I feel is extremely helpful. And I didn't feel, I felt comfortable, I should say. And so as I'm sitting down with the notary, she was very pleasant, straight to the point, like, made sure she went over the main, areas of the contracting, I would say. But overall, it was effortless. I was in and out probably within 30 minutes.
Great.
And it definitely exceeded my expectations, for sure.
Great, wonderful. Well, any other last minute feedback for our audience today?
I think my last minute feedback, being the first time, the main thing that I learned is, ask questions, be upfront, don't be discouraged too quickly. And even if you are, take some of the tips that we shared today, like with Kaori. Outside of that, I think it's something that anyone can definitely achieve with hard work and persistence. Outside of that, I am thankful for my experience. I'm thankful for Loan Depot, for Kaori, for Sean, Alex. I can just go on. And I'm just appreciative and grateful for this moment. And I just hope that when you all are looking upon your search, that, even with the curveballs that may be thrown at you, that you're able to hit a home run. And I think that would be my wish for everyone that's viewing this at this very given moment. So
wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Candi. Congratulations.
Yes,
I've got your keys.
Thank you.
Let's do the keys.
Oh,
home ownership.
So excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Your pleasure. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.